Hey guys, welcome back to Five Star Podcast. It's been a week since I've been talking with you, but last week we talked a little bit about Appalachian mountain wrestling, and I've got a guy here that's on the card for the next week's show, September 8th, Buckhorn High School Gymnasium. And what are you expecting? What are you expecting next week?
Well, I'm expecting what we always expect in Buckhorn, Kentucky. I'm expecting a hot, rowdy crowd because, I mean, that place rocks. Can't go over there and not find some of the best fans in the world. So, I mean, that's we're expecting one of the greatest cards in the history of wrestling. Around you can't find a better card in the state anywhere than September the 8th in Buckhorn, Kentucky. It's stacked head to toe.
And we don't even have enough time to talk about all the matches on this show. We're just doing the last five, but they're five great matches. First one off the top, Chance Prophet versus Jordan Cage. Jordan Cage, no stranger to wrestling around here in Eastern Kentucky. Always makes a mark wherever he goes. Chance Prophet, not been around here, but spent some time in a TNA ring. What do you think about that match? What's that going to bring to the table?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, about all the matches on the card. No matter who they are, they have held wrestling gold somewhere in the nation. Some have held multiple titles. Some may have just held one title. But they have held wrestling gold, whether it's a heavyweight championship, a cruiserweight championship, a tag team championship. Somebody has held championships. Every wrestler on the card has had gold, at least one time or another.
Yep. We tried to get as many people in here as we could, but these people are coming from all over the place. It's just hard to get them in. But we do have Chance and Jordan who have some words for each other, and what you guys are going to see Buckhorn next week. We'll take a look at those right now.
September 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky. AMW make its debut into Kentucky wrestling history. And on that night, they have picture-perfect Jordan Cage going against a man that wears makeup, a man that thinks it's Halloween every day of the year. Well, I don't like Halloween. A man named Chance Prophet. Well, Chance Prophet, you're looking at God's gift to pro wrestling. You're looking at a man to God that I am the only prophet that matters. You're going to soon realize why I'm the most underrated wrestler today. And you're going to soon realize why you're not a prophet. You're just a fuzzy 8x10. September 8th, AMW makes wrestling great again. But they already have, because they have picture perfect Jordan Cage on the show. It's going to be a picture perfect night.
Jordan Cage, you and I get to dance for the first time ever. But Jordan, I'm not that great of a partner. You see, what I am, sir, and a lot of people misconstrue me. They look at what they see and judge me for appearance only. But sir, I am a mere messenger, a mere mercenary, sent to take care of problems. So it's not personal, it's all business. When we meet, September 8th is going to be a fun time.
That Chance, man, that's some freaky stuff with all that makeup. But hey, you can't beat him in the ring. And as much as I dislike Jordan Cage, you know, I dislike Pretty Perfect or Princess Perfect or whatever the kids are calling him these days. You know, I dislike that guy. He's got an ego, one of the egos amongst egos. But when he gets in the wrestling ring, I have to give him props. He can go. You got those two guys. I mean, it'll be something special.
A couple years ago at Buckhorn, I saw John Noble tagging with Jordan Cage. Jordan Cage turned on him right in the ring, stabbed him in the back. I mean, he doesn't care. He does whatever he needs.
No, it's like I said. I don't like him for the main reason Jordan is out for Jordan. Okay, so, but he can still wrestle. He's still a top talent. He's held gold. You know, Chance is a top talent himself. I'm gonna love, just as a wrestling fan, to watch those two hook it up.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm hearing we just got this guy that's no stranger to the podcast, but I've got Handsome Bo James via satellite. Mr. James, welcome to the 5-Star Podcast.
Well, thanks for having me here on Channel 57's 5-Star Podcast. It's always a pleasure to be on Channel 57 and anything associated with it, because if Channel 57 is covering it, it means it's big time. It means it's something good. No, make that something great, because Appalachian Mountain Wrestling is bringing the King of King Sport, Handsome Bo James, the #1 man of all the Appalachians, right back there to East Kentucky.
And Bo, why is it you call yourself the King of Kingsport?
I don't claim to be the King of Kingsport. I am the King of Kingsport. Let me explain to you why. When Hall of Famers like Handsome Jimmy, the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant comes to Kingsport, or Edge, or former world champions like Christian Cage, or current stars like AJ Styles comes to Kingsport, they run into this right here, and they find out real fast that I'm the King of Kingsport. When Hall of Famers like Jerry the King Lawler comes to Kingsport, who does he ask? Begs to be his tag team partner, Bo James. When Zeb Coulter, a.k.a. Dutch Mantel, comes to Kingsport, who does he beg to be his partner? Bo James. And I'm going to tell you this, all the people all across the Appalachians, I'm not just the King of Kingsport, I am the monarch of the mountains, and you're going to find out real soon.
And I know you're proud of your Tennessee heritage, but why is it you think that East Tennessee is better than Eastern Kentucky?
East Tennessee is better than anywhere else in the country. No, make that anywhere else in the world. This is God's country right here. The toughest, the baddest, the meanest come from right here. Alvin C. York, the greatest Nazi killer of all time. Elvis Presley, he moved here because he knew he wanted to be the king of rock and roll, and he became the king in Tennessee. Johnny Cash moved right outside of Kingsport because he loved this area. This is the greatest area in the world. You know the great Daniel Boone that all you people over there in East Kentucky pride yourself on, Boonesboro, the father of Kentucky. You know he was in East Tennessee before he went to East Kentucky. You know why he kept on going to East Kentucky? Because he knew himself, the great Daniel Boone, he was not tough enough to live right here in East Tennessee.
Well, you know, Hazard is known as being a hotbed for professional wrestling, with wrestlers like John Noble, Eddie Browning, Kyle Maggard, Clinton Stacy, Earl Fields, and that's really just to name a few, Bo.
Well, you know, you got a lot of great wrestling history in East Kentucky, going all the way back to Ron and Don Wright and Whitey Caldwell, and then in the 70s with the Fullers and the one-man gang, Ronnie Garvin and Macho Man Randy Savage, and all the way up to Smoky Mountain Wrestling with the Rock and Roll Express, and then that list of names that you just named right there competing in Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. John Noble and Eddie Browning, great athletes, college baseball players, great motivators, great teachers, but I beat them up for years. Kyle Maggart, the only smart man from East Kentucky, because he's never got in the ring with me. And Earl Fields, let's talk about Earl Fields for a minute, because I know he's going to be coming around buying a ticket to get into Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Last year right there in Hazard, I was booked on a card to wrestle Earl Fields. There was his mama at ringside, there was all of his dirty nieces and nephews and cousins and all of them cussing me and mean-mouthing me and talking about how great Earl was when I came out to the ring, and I said, he ain't here. And they called me a liar. Come to find out, Earl Fields was a coward. He didn't show up. Ask whatever wrestler you got in the studio right there with you. They'll tell you the truth. Earl Fields ran and hid, ran away from Bo James, just like Kyle Maggart has, just like John Noble, just like Eddie Browning, just like anybody else that East Kentucky can throw at this East Tennessee boy right here. Stevie Phillips I have known since he first started in professional wrestling. I helped him along the way. And he's not that little skinny, long-haired boy that looked like a mop when I first met him many years ago wrestling. He's the pride of Somerset, Kentucky. He's built up a body, big muscles. He's learned all kinds of wrestling stuff. But let me explain something to you there, Stevie Phillips. You can't buy experience. And I've got you outgunned in experience about 4,000 to 1. And come the 8th of September, Buckhorn, Kentucky, right there in John Noble's backyard, right there in Kyle Magger's backyard, right there in Eddie Browning's backyard, I am going to take this fist and I am going to run it down that bald head of Stevie Phillips, and you're going to see what happens when a true Tennessean comes to East Kentucky and shows each and every one of you exactly what I can do.
Before we go, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, not only am I a great wrestler, not only am I a great interviewer, I'm also a great writer. Highly recommended books on Amazon.com. Check them out. Come on down to the matches September the 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky. Stevie Phillips, you better get there early, sign autographs, and tell everybody how great you are, because by the end of the night, they're going to know that you're laying on the ground, and I'm standing there with my hand raised, because this Tennessee volunteer can whip anybody from East Kentucky on any day. And Nathan, I want to tell you this. I want you to come, and I want you to bring the Channel 57 cameras, and I want you to be right there ringside, because I want you to see firsthand what kind of damage I can do to a man. Because at the end of the night, everybody in East Kentucky is not going to be talking about any other wrestlers on the card except Bo James. The next morning, they're going to be calling into that radio over there, calling into that TV over there, calling the newspapers, and going, did you all hear what Bo James did to Stevie Phillips in Buckhorn, Kentucky? Thursday the 8th, I'm going to be there early. I'm going to look at you people, and I'm going to show you something that you've never seen before, and that's the baddest man walking the face of the earth.
Where it's only in Tennessee, and well, I won't say that because I know Channel 57 goes all the way down into Tennessee, and the only thing that come out of Bo's mouth with your question and answer session with him right there is the fact that if we're on 57, it's big time. Okay. Everybody knows, every independent wrestler in the state of Kentucky knows, every famous person knows you had Ted Nugent, correct?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, you had Roman Reigns. You know, was he the WWE World Heavyweight Champion
Absolutely.
at the time? Okay. Everybody knows if you're in the wrestling business, if you're in the sport of professional wrestling, and you want to make a name for yourself, you want to be seen out there, you want to sell your merchandise, you want to sell your T-shirts, okay, you have to come here, WYMT, Channel 57, with this guy, Nathan Little,
5 stars.
and get on the 5-Star Podcast. I can't stress again, the 5-Star Podcast. Okay, if you want to be seen, if you want to go to that next level, it starts right here. Nobody covers professional wrestling better than WYMT, Nathan Little, and the 5-Star Podcast. That's the only thing that Bo James got right and all that. And I love those people in Tennessee. There's some great fans down there. Okay, but Bo, come on now. Bo's going to come up here. And it doesn't matter if Stevie Phillips is from East Kentucky. It doesn't matter if he wrestles one of us guys that are local from Hazard. They're from East Kentucky, Central Kentucky, Canada, Jamaica, wherever. Bo, I mean, you're going to get slapped around. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Saturday nights, ROH is on here. That's WYMT's most watched and highly rated television show. Okay, so the fans out there love wrestling. They love great wrestling. That's why they're going to love Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Okay, when I was first brought into the company, they said, Kyle, this is their pitch. Kyle, we want to make wrestling great again. We want to take it back to where it was when it was coming in southeastern Kentucky in the Appalachian region. When you had ICW coming in, ICW filling up A.B. Combs. Everybody knows the history of wrestling in A.B. Combs. Everybody knows the history of wrestling in Memorial Gym when you had Andre the Giant in there, refereed by a good friend of mine, rest his soul, Smokey Jones. Okay, a local sports official refereed Andre the Giant in Memorial Gym. Everybody knows about Smoky Mountain's history here. Everybody know WCW used to come here. Okay, wrestling was great. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling is going to make it great again. So they called me and they said, Kyle, we're going to take it back to those good old traditional days. Okay, so that was their pitch to me. That really sold me to sign with the company, to get on board. I think it's what sold all these top talented wrestlers on this card. They want to go where the wrestling's going to be great, and they're going to wrestle great wrestlers. They don't want to go where they're going to wrestle some Joe Blow and where the winning payoff is less than the losing payoff, okay? You know, everybody knows when you wrestle or if you fight MMA or whatever, or you box, you know, when it comes to the percentages of pay-per-view sales, ticket sales, whatever, there's a cut. If you win your match, you make more money. That's why that's the business side of it. So that's why when we're out there, we're busting it to make more money. And then, like I said, you get back to the fans in Buckhorn or fans in Perry County and Hazard. You know, you can't beat the area. Okay, on October the 8th, we're going to be over at the Old Hyman Gymnasium in Knott County. Okay, those fans over there, I expect them to be just as rowdy. You can't beat southeastern Kentucky, northern Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. You can't beat those fans. Those are great wrestling fans. They appreciate great wrestlers and great wrestling talents. Okay, that's my rant. I'm good.
You mentioned money and making money, and Mr. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. ATM is on the card next week.
And you know, I don't like that Jack Weasel either, but I mean, like I said, this is a stacked card, people. You must buy a ticket, which, by the way, VIP tickets are very limited. I think there may be a handful left. Contact John Noble and those guys down at Buckhorn. This show is sponsored by the Buckhorn boys basketball team, okay? So even if you're not a wrestling fan and you're a Buckhorn area and you're a fan of the Buckhorn basketball team, you know, buy a ticket, come out, enjoy a great night of wrestling, but donate some money to the ball team. But, you know, back to ATM, he's another one of those guys. He's another one of those pretty picture-perfect guys that are all about theirself and you know, but he's held gold. He's been an elite champion. So he's getting in the ring with the Vanilla Thriller, Matty B from over in Pikeville. Okay, Matty knows what it's like to wrestle in front of these Eastern Kentucky fans and how great they are. So, I mean, and he's ready to represent all these people in Buckhorn on Thursday, September the 8th. Matty's held gold, guys. Okay, I'm telling you, people on this card have been champions, and if they haven't, they're still somebody to watch because they're going to be champions. Everybody is that talented.
Got that. Next up, we're going to talk about some Eddie and Michael Jameson. I stumbled. I'll cut that out. Let's get this going. Next on the card, we've got Eddie the Driller versus Michael Jameson in a grudge match. So what's the history between these two cats?
Well, the history was at one point in time they had formed the tag team called the Drillers, and you know, Michael Jameson's a weasel. Let's everybody face it. He's a weasel. I wrestled him a few months ago at Hazard High School. You know, and I had to beat him around. I slapped him from turnbuckle to turnbuckle, ring post to ring post, okay? I had to beat him up. And I would sit here and lie to you and say I didn't take enjoyment or have any enjoyment in that. I did. I mean, I like beating up guys like that. They're jack weasels. They're only out for themselves. You know, him and Eddie were tagging. They had something good going, and all of a sudden Michael thought he was more important than what he actually was. So, you know, next thing you know, Eddie wasn't looking. Boom, hit him. It's all she wrote. But then Eddie went on to form one of the greatest tag teams around. That wherever they went, the fans got rowdy. The fans had a good time. The Island boys had a good time. And you know, me and Eddie, when we did that, everybody knew we weren't from the islands. I mean, come on, it's not where we're from. It's a state of mind, people. It's all about having fun. It was all about having fun. And we had a great time. The fans loved it. I mean, I wouldn't mind to do it again, Eddie. Just saying, when you're done chasing Michael Jameson and you want to get back together, holler at me, all right? But we have some promos. I think we've got some promos. I think one from Eddie and one from Mikey. Is that right? Am I hearing that in the back right? Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's take a look.
Thursday, September the 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling's debut in Buckhorn, Kentucky. Now, 6 o'clock, we've got ringside VIP tickets. You're going to get in for a meet and greet with all the Appalachian Mountain Wrestling stars. Then at 6:30, you're going to have a special pre-show. Now, general admission, if you can't get there then, come in at 7 o'clock. You're going to be there. Doors are going to open. We'll start the show at 7:30. Now, on to Michael Jameson. Jameson, I've been a member of a lot of great tag teams. First of all, it was Something Else with John Noble. Then it was the Cartel with Coach Steele. Then a little tag team called the Drillers. But we'll get back to that. Then me and Kyle Maggard formed the Island Boys. And we rocked every place that we were in. Now, back to the Drillers and Michael Jameson. Jameson, you stabbed me in the back, son. That was your mistake. I've been chasing you and chasing you. Last May, I had to dress up as Juan Noble to try to get my hands on you. It's not going to be Juan Noble this September the 8th. It's going to be Eddie Browning against Michael Jameson. Son, we're going to make wrestling great again.
So, Eddie Browning, I hear you say you've been looking for me. I don't think you've been looking very hard. For one, you know you're not going to find me at a middle school sporting event or a high school sporting event, and that seems to be the only place you stay anymore. You know, Eddie, the truth is you used me to help you stay on the top, and I used you to get to the top. After the Drillers split up, I went on to have success, winning multiple championships, and what did you do? You formed the Island Boys with Kyle Maggard, and how did that work? You guys stunk up the joint. So I guess September the 8th, Buckhorn AMW's debut, we find out who is the better man, the student or the teacher.
All right, and I know, Kyle, you've been chomping at the bit to talk about this one. This is the one that you are there for, against a guy that was some guys that had some words on the podcast last week. Stan Sierra, Larry D. And you're teaming up with your buddy Clinton Stacy, who's also no stranger to the podcast.
Right. I mean, listen, you got Stan and Larry are both like, you know, ATM and those guys. You know, their egos are just way too big, and they're bigger than what they actually really need to be. Okay. You know, Stan, I don't know the record. Stan may be correct in saying he's the only undefeated wrestler in Eastern Kentucky. Okay. But last time me and him wrestled, he had Jordan Cage in his corner, you know, doing some dirty stuff. Let's face it, you know, it's not like he went in there, I went in there, and he just beat me. Okay, he had a little help. All right, so the best thing for Stan is, from what Larry says, he's got Larry in his corner. But then you hear what Stan says. The best thing for Larry is, you know, Stan's in Larry's corner. But I tell you who I got in my corner, who couldn't be here tonight, you know, because he's doing his job, helping take care of some veterans over at the Veterans Center, is Clinton Stacy. You know, Clinton may have not held any gold, because we're talking about people's held gold. Okay, you know, Larry's held heavyweight gold. Stan's held heavyweight gold. Multiple title runs in multiple companies. Clinton just started. Clinton is the hottest independent wrestler right now around. Everybody's blowing up his phone. Everybody's blowing up his Facebook, his email. Clinton, we got to have you. We got to have you on our card. We got to have you at our events. You, Clinton Stacy, sell tickets, because people know when they see you on the poster, you're somebody they need to buy a ticket to see.
So you guys are Stan, Larry. Seems like they're going to have a hard time getting their heads together. But I'm telling you, that you've got a tall task in front of you, and here's what they got to say about it.
September 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky, AMW Wrestling. What better way to start off successful than to have Eastern Kentucky's most successful wrestler, Sexy Stan Sierra. As a matter of fact, the only undefeated wrestler in Eastern Kentucky. And I find out that they've teamed me with legendary Larry D. Well, that's fine, because me and Larry D have a history. We have a history of beating people up and causing mayhem wherever we go. And then that leads me to Kyle Maggard. Me and Kyle have a history. We got a lot of unfinished business, and he's drug Clinton Stacy into this. So Clinton Stacy and Kyle Maggard are going to face legendary Larry D and Stan Sierra in Buckhorn, Kentucky, September the 8th. Fans, come on out, come cheer for them, do everything you can to help them through this, because I promise you, September the 8th is the last time you will see Kyle Maggard and Clinton Stacy. But one thing you will see for a long, long time is Sexy Stan Sierra and legendary Larry D, because we do plan on making wrestling great again.
I'm here with legendary Larry D. Larry D, you make your debut in Appalachian Mountain Wrestling September 8th in Buckhorn. Your thoughts on returning to Eastern Kentucky?
I really could care less to return to Eastern Kentucky. My thoughts on Appalachian Mountain Wrestling is slim to none. Doesn't matter. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Any new upstart wrestling promotion that starts, who's the first guy that they call? Me. That's exactly what Appalachian Mountain Wrestling's done. That's exactly what I'm going to do, is go down there and put them on the map. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to leave, because really, I hate going to Eastern Kentucky anyway.
A few questions, if you don't mind. Tough claim that John Noble cheated in your last match in Buckhorn. Now he's teamed
John
with
Noble did
Brad
cheat
Thomas.
in our last match.
Thoughts on the Heat Seekers?
Thoughts on the Heat Seekers? Don't know them. Pretty well established tag team.
Think they got a chance in Buckhorn?
In Buckhorn? Anybody's got a chance in Buckhorn. Look at the education level.
It was just announced you will team with Sexy Stan Sierra to take on two people from the area, Kyle Maggard and Clinton Stacy. Thoughts on AMW making that decision?
Thoughts on AMW making that decision? I made a bad decision, because when you put Larry D and Stan Sierra together, that's already a winning combination. You put Kyle Maggard and Clinton Stacy together, well, all you're doing is just going down the hill over the creek, and you're getting two idiots and putting them in a match with guys that are professionals, guys that's knowing what they're doing, guys that's been there before. We have tagged before. These two idiots, they're just now coming from Buckhorn, Kentucky and East Kentucky. They got a chance in hell against us.
Stan Sierra, he's making the claim that he is the only undefeated wrestler in Eastern Kentucky. Your thoughts?
He'll stay undefeated September the 8th if he's tagging with me.
Closing comments on your return to Buckhorn?
Zero, because I hate Buckhorn. I hate Eastern Kentucky. I'm ready to get in, get my money, leave somebody laying, and go home.
Buckhorn, you've been put on notice. Legendary Larry D coming.
That's just about like Larry D. I tell you what, he's been sore. He cheated last Thanksgiving and cost John Noble his career for a short period of time. But, you know, he let that ego get too big, and he started writing checks, and he couldn't cash them in, because last May in Buckhorn, he put everything back on the line with John, and what happened? 1, 2, 3. So Larry D, Stan Sierra, come Thursday, September the 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling's debut event. Okay, I know it's going around with all the other wrestlers, but you know that me and Clinton Stacy are going to take care of our business, and we're going to show you and everybody in the crowd, everybody that gets to watch it at home on the YouTube channel, that we're going to make wrestling great again when we pin you 1, 2, 3.
All right, strong words from Kyle Maggard here. We'll see see if we can back them up next week. I've got John Noble waiting over here to get on the set and talk about his match against the former NWA World Tag Champ.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a stacked card, people. It doesn't get any better. You got the former NWA World Tag Team Champions, the current NWA World Tag Team, U.S. Tag Team Champions. They've held the AML tag belts, okay, the Heat Seekers. I think, you know, they go all over, all across the world, wrestling, competing, winning matches. Do we like them either? No, we don't like those guys. You know, they're jerks as well. But you know, you got John. As much as me and him kid each other, you know, John Noble's one of the best around. He's probably one of the most respected wrestlers in the state of Kentucky, because when he gets in there, John can go. And then he's got Brad Thomas. Brad, who was trained under Ricky Morton, Mr. Rock and Roll himself. Everybody remembers the Rock and Roll Express around here. People went crazy for the Rock and Roll Express. Why? Because they could wrestle. They were a great tag team. They could wrestle. They've taught Brad how to be a great tag team wrestler. So this isn't like he's in some waters that he doesn't know. This will be home for Brad, okay? Brad was the hottest talent coming up. He stepped away for whatever reasons, but hey, he's back. He's back in Appalachian Mountain Wrestling because he knows that Appalachian Mountain Wrestling is doing great things, and they're making wrestling great again for all you fans. So come out, buy a ticket, okay? I hope to see everybody there Thursday, September the 8th in Buckhorn, Kentucky. Also, if you get a chance, go onto the Appalachian Mountain Wrestling Facebook page. You can scroll through. You can find other videos and interviews people have done. You can get on there and look at upcoming events, all right? I know you've got, like I mentioned before, you got October the 8th over in Hyman. You got October the 13th at R.W. Combs Elementary. Okay, I mean, I look for that to be a great crowd. Okay, they always have a great crowd at their sporting events. This will be no different. You got November 3rd down in Chavies. We wrestled in Chavies last year. Great crowd. You know, Chavies, that's my home crowd. I mean, I have more fun there than I probably have had anywhere else because I know those people are awesome. And, you know, then you've got back November the 12th, we're back in Hyman. November 24th, we're at the Sherman Heath Athletic Center. Okay, the event dubbed Thanksgiving Turmoil. I look for that to be as big as the event was last year. All right, then December the 10th, back at R.W. Combs. So there's chances to see them, but you don't want to miss an event because each event is a can't-miss event. They're all great. Buy your tickets, be there. Thanks, people.
All right, we'll take a quick break to get John on the set, and we'll be right back with the 5-Star Podcast. All right, last match on the card, the main event. We've got John Noble teaming up with Brad Thomas versus the Heat Seekers, and I understand Brad is coming out of retirement for this match?
Yeah, Brad is a guy that I first wrestled against, actually, in Knoxville, Tennessee in 2005. He was trained by Ricky Morton and Bobby Eaton, traveled with Tom Pritchard, Tracy Smothers, several other guys. One of the best opponents and one of the best matches I ever had was with Brad Thomas. But he's been out of the industry for a while. He was on Fast Track. I feel like if he had stayed with it, he would be on TV somewhere today. You'd be watching him on a regular basis on television. He was that good, and kind of stepped away from the sport. You know, the Lord placed a calling on him to go into ministry, and he followed that calling and has been doing really well with that. And you know, the opportunity to face the Heat Seekers came up, and all my normal tag partners were already involved in something. So I kind of thought, well, you know, who could I call that I know can take it to the level that we're going to need to take it to? And Brad was the first guy that I thought of.
And the Heat Seekers are former NWA World Champions. It's a non-title match, so you won't get a shot at that. But you're going up against some guys that held the belts that the Road Warriors held, the Four Horsemen held, the Rock and Roll Express. Some guys that used to be on WYMT back in the day.
Yeah, you know, it's ironic. You know, I think the Heat Seekers. Well, I know the Heat Seekers actually had a match against the Rock and Roll Express a couple of weeks back. So, yeah, you know, there's the big belts. You know, for my money, you know, I'm an old school guy. NWA is wrestling to me. You know, that's just how I always kind of felt about it. But I think they're the best tag team in the world, either on your television or off your television. And I think, you know, if they ever got another shot at the NWA World titles, they would probably win them back because they're that good. I feel like they're the best tag team in the world right now.
All right. I mean, it's something. This match was obviously enough to entice Brad to come out of retirement. So he's looking forward to it, and he couldn't be here tonight, but he does have some words for us and for the Heat Seekers. We'll take a look at that right now.
I'll say a couple words. Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Brad Thomas again. You know, the AMW production team had called the other day and said, hey, you know, everybody's been talking, and that's a scary thing, but everybody's been talking about you coming back to the ring. That it's been since 2009 since you stepped in the squared circle, and my name's on the poster, my picture's on the poster, and I've signed the contract to do the match, but no one's seen my face. To be honest, even John Noble's not seen me since 2009. And you know what, when they called me, I said, yeah, come on down. You know, I just left Smith Fitness here in Hurricane, West Virginia, almost 4 hours away from Buckhorn, Kentucky. And you know what, the fire's still kindling like I told you before. And you know, Elliot, I heard you and Sigmund talking that old school is not cool. You know, it's never been about old school. And that's the issue. It's always been about professional wrestling. And for you guys, for that even statement to come out of your mouth goes against everything that you are inside the ring. You're ring technicians. You are old school mat grinding wrestlers. That's who you are. That's why you made a name for yourself. That's why you have so many titles and a reputation around the industry like you do. And don't think there's not a lot on the line for me. Yeah, it's been since 2009 since I've stepped out of the squared circle. But listen, I've got my family at home. I just had a talk with my wife and my kids because they know that what happens in the ring can be very serious. It's not about just winning or losing. Sometimes it's even more than that. And when you made that statement, Matt, about I've been gone for a long time and I'm going to be gone for a long time more after what you do to me in the ring. Well, you know that doesn't set easy with a family. That doesn't set easy with my 4-year-old daughter and my 2-year-old son. It doesn't set easy when I strap my boots on one more time, knowing that my wife has seen me blow out my knee. My wife has seen me blow out my shoulder in the past. And you know what? I can't help but to think of the story of David and Goliath. What an obstacle that stood in front of David. And you know what? The same with you. It'd be even different if I was at the top of my game in 2009 for me and John Noble to face the Heat Seekers, to face someone who is at the top level of professional wrestling right now. More or less, someone who feels, to be honest, that they've been out of the game, that they're a little bit rusty. So I've been doing everything I can because it's not just my reputation at stake, it's just not my livelihood at stake, it's just not my life at stake, but it's John Noble's as well. And I have to be honest, just like David was against Goliath, it took something bigger than himself to defeat that obstacle. Good thing we're coming to Buckhorn, Kentucky. It's a good thing because I love Kentucky wrestling. I love Kentucky wrestling fans. And if there's greater fans anywhere, it's in Buckhorn, Kentucky. So September 8th, Buckhorn School, we're going to need you to come out. We're going to need you to give everything you got. We're going to need you to give it to us the same way we're going to give it back to you. Because we're set on making wrestling great again. See you there, September 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling's debut event. Heat Seekers, man, I'm ready. And it ain't even time yet.
September 8th, AMW, Buckhorn, Kentucky. You see, the Heat Seekers are coming to town, and John Noble, he's acquired Brad Thomas. We talked about this earlier. He found Brad who's been missing from wrestling for a very long time. Brad who is going to go missing again, because once he gets in the ring with the Heat Seekers, he will want none. He will want none of what we're going to give to him. Tell him, Elliot.
Brad, John Noble, old school is not cool.
Right, guys, that does it for this week's edition of the 5-Star Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Little, and I'd like to thank the guys at AMW for coming down to the station and sending in their videos, spending some time with us. September 8th, Buckhorn, Kentucky. You've heard it many times throughout the night, but that is the show you need to be at next week. I'll be there. 5-Star Podcast, out.